Every grocery receipt printed in Canada functions as a mandatory dynastic tax. The Westons, the Sobeys, and the Pattisons have engineered a silent chokehold on the national food supply, directing capital from your kitchen to their private kingdoms. These three parent companies control over 20 regional supermarket banners, creating a total illusion of choice across the country. This consolidation is the result of corporate architecture built over generations by family leadership to capture every demographic and income bracket in Canada. Switching grocery stores to avoid high prices does not punish a corporation. It merely funnels the same paycheck to the exact same billionaire family through a different door. Political and corporate narratives argue that grocers are victims of supply chain inflation, forced to pass necessary costs onto the consumer. This chart compares the official food inflation rate against corporate earnings. In 2025, food inflation sat at 4.1%, while Loblaw's net earnings surged by 23.8% in the exact same year. During this period of rising food prices, the Big Three possessed enough excess cash to execute $1.85 billion in share buybacks in 2025 alone. Stock buybacks use surplus corporate cash to reduce the number of available shares, directly inflating the value for family owners and executives rather than lowering prices at the register. Record profit growth and multi-billion-dollar buybacks mathematically disprove the inflation defense, revealing a system of engineered wealth extraction. If grocers are gouging consumers, we have to ask why their retail divisions continually report razor-thin margins and falling net incomes. The answer lies in the Real Estate Investment Trust, or REIT. The Weston family uses Choice Properties REIT, while the Sobeys use Crombie to act as their own landlords. Grocery conglomerates charge their own retail stores exorbitant rent, moving money from one corporate pocket to another. A 21.5% rent hike artificially suppresses the store's profit, deflecting political scrutiny. This money shifts to the tax-advantaged real estate ledger, funneling out as funds from operations. The 2025 Choice Properties filing reported a net loss of $61.2 million to the public. That reported loss contrasts with their actual cash reality, a $773.8 million increase in funds from operations. The 3% grocery margin is an accounting fiction. The true wealth of the monopoly is hidden in the concrete beneath the stores. These internal real estate holdings function as a weapon to control physical territory in Canadian cities. Restrictive real estate covenants are legal clauses attached to commercial land deeds when a grocer vacates a property. These clauses legally ban any competing supermarket, discount grocer, or international entrant from operating on that land for decades. Acting as the landlord of entire shopping plazas allows the Big Three to block independent butchers or bakeries from leasing adjacent storefronts. Consumer convenience is a manufactured illusion. You shop at their stores because they have legally sterilized the neighborhood of any alternative. The privately held Jim Pattison Group is the dominant force in Western Canada, operating with total opacity. Through vertical extraction, a single corporation captures the profit margin at every stage of a product's life, not just the retail checkout. The Pattison pipeline starts at the source. They own the fishing fleet that harvests the seafood. The fish moves into their canning facilities, capturing the manufacturing margin. Goods then travel on their trucking fleets, landing on shelves supported by their own billboard marketing. Independent grocers are forced to buy their inventory from Pattison wholesale divisions, paying their direct competitor just to stock their shelves. Breaking the monopoly is impossible when an independent rival must subsidize the Pattison family at the harbor, the highway, and the billboard. Historical price-fixing cartels have moved from backroom deals to modern digital synchronization. Loyalty programs like PC Optum and Scene Plus function as real-time surveillance engines to test consumer price elasticity. The Big Three utilize shared algorithmic software to instantly match each other's price hikes, removing the incentive to undercut competitors. In 2025, Empire and Metro expanded their gross margins by 20 to 50 basis points, a trend known as margin creep. If shelf prices purely covered inflation, gross margins would stay flat. Expanding margins represent proactive price gouging. This chart visualizes 2025 Statistics Canada data comparing total dollars spent on groceries against the volume of food purchased. While sales value rose 4.0%, actual sales volume dipped 0.3%. Canadians are paying record amounts for a shrinking amount of total calories. Technological collusion has severed the link between supply costs and retail prices, turning essential nutrition into an extraction algorithm. Federal regulators and lawmakers have allowed this mathematically proven monopoly to operate without intervention. Politicians touted the 2026 Canadian Grocery Code of Conduct as the definitive solution to these industry abuses. Participation in the code is entirely voluntary, and the adjudicator lacks the statutory power to issue binding financial penalties. Federal briefing notes explicitly admit the code is not expected to address concerns over rising food prices. The Code of Conduct is political theater designed to mediate supplier disputes, leaving the Canadian consumer undefended. The corporate engineering of the Big Three stands in contrast to the grim social reality facing the average Canadian in 2026. Between 2020 and 2025, CEO pay increased by 49%, while worker pay rose just 15%, against a 22% surge in food costs. This wealth extraction connects directly to Statistics Canada data, showing persistently high food bank usage among the eroding middle class. Internal rent cycles, vertical extraction chokeholds, and algorithmic margin creep form the invisible architecture of this monopoly. Today, the Canadian grocery sector has entirely ceased to operate as a competitive free market, leaving citizens trapped by this engineered scarcity. The calories we consume are no longer a market choice, but a dynastic inheritance dictated by a monopoly that never stops collecting.